Hello, science bitches. It's your boy. I just showered and everything. Don't I look fluffy? Anyway, I'm not dry yet, so of course I don't look fluffy. I resent looking fluffy. I'm just kidding. Okay, so Venom cannot escape the allegations of being a furry. She started off as a pony, for crying out loud. Why would she not be a furry? But also, that video was funny. Watch it. Now that the shoutouts are done, go have a cake. Then come back, and I'll explain to you negative speed. Does that make any sense to you? Negative speed? What the fuck is that? What does that even refer to? Well, it refers to in relation to another moving object. In other words, if the train is going, let's say, 45 meters per second, and you're going 5 meters per second in one direction, you're going a total of 50 meters per second. God, you're a powerful thing, aren't you? Heck yeah. But if you go the opposite direction of the direction of the travel of the train, you equal a total of speed equal to what? Now, if you're going -5 on the ground and the train is going 45, your total negative speed compared to the train is -50. But does that matter? No. You're on the train, bitch. So that means your speed versus the train speed equals -40. Strike that, reverse it, +40. You simply moving 5 in the opposite direction of the train's travel means that you take the full number of the train and you take your number and you say the number moving this way minus subtracting the amount that you're moving. And as long as your number fits inside that number, you get a positive number still, even though it's negative speed. So it's not actually negative speed. Why am I bringing this up? Because people are referring to the plain atomic clock test as negative speed because they think of the atomic clock on the ground being similar, for some freaking reason, to being stationary. But the clock on the ground is moving with the rotation of the Earth. It has its own speed. It's constant. So when you add the speed of the plane, you have the speed of the rotation of the Earth plus the plane. And when you subtract the speed of the plane, as if it's going in the opposite direction, which is what they did, you subtract that speed from the rotation of the Earth's speed, and as long as that number is still... And even if those numbers happen to go into the negative, it doesn't mean negative speed. It means a number that is in the opposite direction in comparison to the regular direction of the Earth, which just means can just end up meaning a positive number in the opposite direction. Pretend that the Earth is a train, and you were to go 50 while you're on the train, and the train is going 45. That means you're gonna, one, unless the train is infinite and in a loop, you're gonna be off that train. But compared to the ground, you are going... There's no such thing as negative speed. You're just going 5 in that direction. This is the thing, is that negative plus a positive greater than the positive just equals a positive in the other direction. Negative numbers don't need to apply. So anyway, how fast was the rotation of the Earth? How fast was, because the rotation of the Earth is changing over time. How fast was it during the test is an accurate question. Just one you didn't see coming. Unless you're someone like me, then you obviously knew. Rotation of the Earth is slowing. That sucks. That's going to make global warming on a massive scale. More than a lot of other factors. The rotation of the Earth is slowing. Holy crap. Let's speed it up so that we have less time in the light. That would be way more helpful. Right? So what do we got to do? Get a bunch of trains going what direction? Is it west or east? I don't know how to answer that immediately off by heart. But whatever direction the Earth is actually going, I think if you have the trains moving in the opposite direction, or everyone just start marching in circles a few times around the Earth, we'll speed this motherfucker up. Oh yeah. We just need a land bridge big enough. Just take any section of space or land and travel from one end to the other, all of us together at the same time. We will speed this fucker up. Or slow it down if we went the other direction. Because pretty sure that's how it works. I don't actually know. How to explain it. Anyhow, how? I was stuck in my head. Like, did I do this wrong? Is the speed of the plane and the speed of the Earth rotation an independent function? Well, it all depends on how far you're moving as a plane compared to outer space. That's what really matters. So once you understand that, you should be able to understand how I was right with my analysis of the things based off of just ballpark estimate, just example numbers, not estimates, example numbers. That if you add the same amount of speed to a constant speed and then a different calculation, you remove the speed from the constant speed. So the 150 plus the 900 is what I said. You end up with 1050. And then in the minus, you ended up with 750. Then that, compared to the speed of light, equals two different ratios. So the bounces experienced by light in the atomic clock will obviously be more bounces in the direction opposite the rotation of the Earth. Because it doesn't have to go as far, so it bounces more. the other direction, with the rotation of the Earth, it goes a further distance over time, which means it has to take longer to do those bounces. It's equivalent to saying, well, not equivalent, but it's similar to saying that the things that are bouncing it in the atomic clock itself are spreading out in one direction with the rotation of the Earth and compressing in the other direction. Because it literally is how much time it takes for light to be able to get from one place to another. Depends on the motion of the thing it's moving in. It doesn't change its speed. So you just have that, and then you should be able to know how time dilation should affect it. And if the numbers are greater than that, then obviously you've proved time dilation or factors that you don't know of. And they said in the course of was it 8 days? They lost 200 nanoseconds. Meaning, if it was 8 days, then they lost, how much per day? Well, 200 divided by 8. They lost about 220. 0.5, 2.5, no, 25 nanoseconds each day. In one direction and a different amount in the other direction. And the thing is, it's not just 200, it's 270 something. So again, you can do some math and hand waviness, and you can understand back of the napkin and whatever else, you can still see that those atomic clocks will be off by, and I literally said 0.25 in one direction versus another direction. But I was going off the idea that the rotation of the Earth is equivalent to 900. The speed of the planes was 150, and the speed of light is 3,000. So those numbers aren't the same as what's actually happening, but it's close enough that it's like you get the idea of the difference between the high and the low part. That the relationship exists. The plane going this way would have more time bounces, and the plane going that way would have less time bounces. Whichever way that is. So you end up with that conclusion, and you can understand that if they're not doing the maths right, losing nanoseconds, I mean, we're talking about, what is it, 10 to the 10th seconds. So a 10 with 10 zeros a second, and they're losing 270 of those per 8 days on this plane trip. Considering all the different factors, it's very possible that that time dilation factor is just the bounces based off of the speed and everything. It's not even time dilation whatsoever, is what I've always felt is more likely. But people just don't understand how time in the atomic clocks should be calculated for how it would have worked in the faster speed compared to rotation of the Earth, which is the 900 number I picked out of my head. Why did I pick 900? Um, in seconds per second. Blah blah blah. Rotates at about a 460 meters or 1,000 miles per second around the equator. Okay, so when I said 900 or whatever in the other thing, I was off by a bit, but that just refers to the base number, and it's still not. At the poles, it's effectively zeros as you just spin in place, which is funny. Radians per second is funny to think about. So the point is that I took a number that's similar to 1,000. I added the speed of the planes or whatever as just as example numbers. So I came up with those numbers and I just showed the difference between forward and backward, and I'm still right about that relationship compared to the speed of light. The ratio is higher in one direction, lower in another direction, which should be obvious to anyone. That's not time dilation. I need to floss. Hey, I might like roast beef, but roast beef likes me a little bit too much. Get out of my mouth. Get in my belly. Roast beef. Um. So anyway, I was like, wait, does it for some reason mean that the thing that I got stuck on is, does the speed of the plane mean that it's going 150 minus the rotation of the Earth equals a number for some reason, which is just negative in another or positive in the opposite direction? And the answer to that is, according to this, if they're going 100. Now, here's the thing, right? Um, per hour is the other number. Meters per second, or 1,670 kilometers per hour. So if the atomic clock's on the plane, if the planes are going 150 kilometers per hour, now if I just know these numbers, I can find the actual time dilation um, expectancy if everything is consistent. So I don't know the rotation of the Earth and everything else back in the day, but I'm gonna just say if it's the same as today, which it's not. But if it was the same as today, um, obviously a similar thing would happen, but how much of it? So I'm going to start by putting the 1670 into the calculator, just so that I remember that. And then I'm going to look up freaking chainmail. That's funny. I'm going to look up freaking speed of the plane in the atomic clock test. Okay, we got somewhere in the miles per hour, which is not helpful because I'm looking at kilometers per hour. Westerly journey. This is inaccurate. We had multiple journeys. So whatever. It's okay. Slow turboprops. The second leg used for 500 kilometers per hour for precision. Okay. 500 kilometers an hour versus this. Well, obviously you just need to subtract 500 from this, and you end up with this number, right? So let's say that they're going the same direction, same amount, and just write this in. 1170 is the minus function. And then we'll go to take that symbol and we're going to switch it to a positive. So we get 2,700. And 10 in the positive direction. And then that, the amount of kilometers per hour compared to the speed of light, which in kilometers per hour light in kilometers per hour is a gigantic fucking number. So we're going to say it's exactly what it is said to be here, which sucks, but whatever. Billion. So in comparison to this, I'm just going to press the enter button and we're going to say it's divided by paste. I hate you. You have to do this and then you paste. Invalid format used. We need actual numbers. It's a goddamn. We'll go ahead and do 8. We'll go ahead and do 1.8. Because fuck you. So we'll say 1.08. And then just add the number of zeros required. So it's not 1.08, it's 1.108. And it's. No, it's 1.1. It's just 108. And then it's that with another 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that means that in one direction they would have lost 200-ish nanoseconds. Look at that. That's the exact number, is it not? Do I have the right number? Billion is 0.0000000. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so we think of that, and then we say it's off by 700 million. We're going to ignore that for simplicity's sake. Although we will say, let's do the calculations for 79 and see how much difference that is. Just to shut up. Okay, it's that much percentage. So we're just gonna stick to 8 and call it a day. So that's the number of it divided by the speed of light. Or is it divided the other is it the other way around? And the other thing is this gives us a percentage, which how do I think about this? Is it supposed to be the other way around? Where the number is then divided by the other way to get the Like, thinking of percentages does not give me the amount of nanoseconds. How do I go about this math to actually do it correct, justice and shit? Um, Let me think. Write that in? Okay, well, write that down. Whatever. Boop. There we go. And then we end up with that number based on the top number, and then we switch the other number in the back to just switch this to a 1. That's very simple. Holy crap. Boop. And then we end up with this number. So the numbers in comparison are 20 versus 30,000 of whatever that fraction actually is, which is not 1,000, but it's 10 to the 10 times this number to the minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we go down to 7, 8, 9, 10, then it's 1,000 something per blah, 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 blah. I don't think this is the right numbers to think of or the right way to think about it. I'm trying to think of how many nanoseconds would have been changed depending on the thing. And the answer is whatever. Isn't it this plus 600? So it's, or 6, so it'd be that is the regular number. Okay. So that's the regular number. The other ones are plus and minus 500. That's to do with a percentage, but it doesn't have to do with... How the heck do you calculate the time dilation? Well, I'm trying to think. I think working in a percentage is the wrong way to go about this. However, to think about it, we are plus and minus the 500 or the 5,000 in that position of degree. So up to here, right? From this point, we have 500, some 500 of whatever that is in that position. And that is 10 to the minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the 1, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know, it doesn't matter. I'm not using the right idea with the percentages is like not something to do with figuring out nanoseconds. How do I figure out the nanoseconds? The ratio of how much more and less the speed of light is increased, or the speed of the object and how much it can travel inside of the object. The percentages are a very tiny percentage of the speed of light more, and a very tiny percentage of the speed of light less, and those percentages are different. So the speed of light plus that percentage doesn't, that's not how that, how do I get it? So I came into this with the idea of questioning, does going backwards on a plane mean negative speed, or does it mean the other thing, which is the reality, which is you're just taking the higher number, or the rotation of the Earth in one direction, and lowering it by the amount of speed that is going in the opposite direction. So you end up with these numbers, the first two numbers. And then the other, I think the percentages are completely useless information that is not helpful. They don't explain the nanoseconds that would be gained. But there's some other analyzation that can give you the amount of speed equals this much amount of more bounces, which leads to certain ticks of the moment, and then that equals something else, which equals the amount of nanoseconds. So if it's similar to this, if these numbers are accurate, then it's, or it, any analogous to, they are analogous to the relation of it, so maybe there's something there. But then, I mean, obviously the number of bounces that they can do equals the number of ticks should go up against the rotation of the Earth and down in the other direction. So the number of, the percentage of the total distance traveled is this tiny number, and that's that percentage. And then from that percentage of distance traveled compared to the size of the aperture of the atomic clock itself, I guess, or something. Or just it versus the tick of 1 second. That's how much time is going up and down in comparison. It might be accurate. The percentage might be the right way to go about it, but it might be like a step in the right process of the right direction, but it might not be the end of the steps. So I would love to talk to someone else about it to figure out how you get the nanoseconds. But I would also love to know that myself, and I'm on the right track, but I'm not there yet. Proving how you get how many nanoseconds in the whole thing and how that works is like an entire thing. And I would love to have their numbers, do the analysis, do all of the things with proper math. Why am I stuck on the conversion of how many nanoseconds should be added? Well, the total of distance you're adding is the speed of the clock in comparison to the speed of, like, I don't think that, is it the percentage of the speed of light and moving up and down, the percentages go up and down by 500-ish something. And it's still a different number. Like, there's gotta be a way to do it so that I get the nanoseconds. There's just one more step. And I'm not, my brain's not actually on right now. I'm like stuck on a loop of I don't know what the component of these percentages translates into. Well, if you consider the 15463, which is the last number referring to with the rotation of the Earth, and then the first number, the 293 or 20,093, referring to the bigger number, which is you going with the rotation of the Earth and adding the speed of the plane. The 10833 is reference with the 17 or the 170, which is analogous to the plane going backwards. Why do I think about the percentages though? I mean, the amount of distance that light can travel in the air, yeah, in one direction versus the other direction is you're increasing the percentage of the distance traveled by this much. And it's that conversion of the percentage translated into the distance traveled. So I have to apply this to distance, the actual circumference of the Earth. That's the last component I'm missing. Okay, so many kilometers. Okay. 40.008 kilometers. Okay. So in one direction you're traveling that distance minus the percentage, and in the other direction you're traveling the extended distance percentage. And then there's another step about how that works in relation to getting the nanoseconds, the time dilation expectancy. Okay, so when measured through the poles, what? Circumference, not diameter, what? Whatever, I'm done. I don't know, I don't have enough stuff to do a proper, like... Because the size of the Earth is what it is, and why are you questioning why it's not exactly 40,000 kilometers? Bulby is bigger than 40,000. Winky face. I'm done. I don't know. There's something I'm missing, and I need to keep on working on this to get, like, I want to get to that nanoseconds, like the true nanoseconds from reevaluation of the equations, but then also compare my findings to, or just a basic, just anyone's findings with what they found with their measurements. Because I'm trying to solve it so that I can understand it, so that I can have it in my head based on even my own work and just the math. Time dilation either is not a thing or must be a thing, and I'm getting there. But I am so freaking lazy about it. I just need to write it all down. But I'm getting one more step each time I do one of these videos, which is promising.